Sanhedrin Daf Vav, continuing from Hey Amud Bet, around 37 lines down. Gufa, we said earlier, Amar Shmuel said, Shnaim Shtenu Dinin Din, if two judges made a din, it works. However, unless Nikra Betin Hasuf, but they're just called like a Chutzpah Bedin. We don't appreciate it. He mentioned this, and he asked the question, we see a case from Mishnah. If two people Bedin say the guy's patur, or two people say he's chayav, one guy says, I don't know, you'll see fitting, you add more judges. If you say Shmuel, two people works, how come these two judges don't work by themselves? If the third guy says, I don't know, okay, we don't need you. Gemara says, no, Shani Hatim over there is different. In the case of the guy where the third judge says, I don't know, because we were sitting down for a betin of three and the third one says, I don't know, we add judges. Over here with betin of Shemuel, if two people do it, it works because you started off with two. Etzve, another question. Rashba Gomer, Hadin Bishlosha. When you're doing a din, it has to be done by three people. Upshara Bishnaim, but if you want to do a compromise, that can be through arbitration of two people, two judges. It's always better to compromise than strict law. Because if two people were to do din, the litigants can retract. They can say, no, this is not good. But two people who did a compromise, and it's binding and litigants can no longer retract. So we see that you cannot do din with two judges. How can Shmuel say yes? When it says, maybe Hachmim will just disagree with him. Rabbi says, two made a din. The different call in din. We see that two doesn't work at all. Question. When it says, Gavra karamit, what's the problem? You're bringing a contradiction, which is just a machloket. Rabbi Ava argues against Shmuel. Shmuel holds like Chachamim, and that's the end of the story. Gufa, we said earlier. If two people made a din by themselves, then everybody agrees that it's not a good verdict. That's the question. Dan at the din. Someone judged a monetary case. And he said the guy is hayav. Even though he was the guy who was chayav, he said he's patur. The hayav is zakayr, he said the guy is patur, he made him chayav. Timet at tahor, he said something that's tahor, he said it's tameh. Tiyeh at tameh, and vice versa, he said something that's tahor, tameh, he said it was tahor. Whatever he did was done, it works, but he has to reimburse from himself for his mistake. We see from here that the single judge works. The Quran says, in that case, they accepted upon themselves that this single judge will do it, and that's the only reason why it works. The Quran says, if they accepted it, then why is he chayav to pay? Where it says the Amrilid, they entered in Torah because they could tell him, we accepted your judgment, but we thought you were going to judge us a halachically Torah judgment, but you didn't. That's why he's paying. Okay. What type of mistake does this guy make? If he made a mistake in the Mishnah type of halacha, a mistake through Mishnah, he can retract. So he'd be patur. Must be he made a mistake with the opinion. What does that mean? Good question. It's a case where, let's say, there was two Tanaim or two Amoraim arguing. We never established who the halacha is like. But we have a custom to follow one of them. And this judge went according to the other one. That's a mistake of opinion, because even though there was no official halacha, we were supposed to go according to one opinion, and the judge made a mistake. Okay, tonight. Maybe the machlok between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Abau is machlok tanaim. Bisua b'shlosha. To make a compromise, you need three judges. The Rebbe Meir is according to Rebbe Meir. Hamim saying the compromise can do one judge. Savrua, they said, this is the kulam makshinan pshaladin. Everybody holds that compromise is like a halacha, like a din. My lab therefore it's machloket. The more savar din l'shosha. The Meir holds that judgment of a law is three, and that's why same thing with a compromise. The more savar din be'eshnaim, and the Chachamim say law is like two or even one, and that's why you could do compromise even with one. Not a good explanation. The kulam din l'shosha, everybody agrees in this case that you need three judges. The machloket over here is the following. The more savar makshinan pshaladin. Meir holds that compromise is the halacha of compromise is like the same thing of a relative din, and therefore you need three. More savar lo makshin shaladin. Hachamim say you don't compare, and therefore you don't need three. So is there a machloket that you need three Is there machloket of three different Tanaim and what we do with compromise? The more Sabab Meir holds they need three. Or more Sabab Shnaim, Shmishimon Rashbag holds two. Or more Sabab Yachid and Chachamim hold one. Seemingly that it's a three-way machloket. The Gemara says, "Amar Rav Aha bereded of Ika b'Tmer b'Member Rashna Man Damar Tre Afilu Chadnami." Rashbag, who said two, he really holds one earlier, and I hinted to this just a moment ago. Why do you say two? So that these two judges can also be witnessing on the compromise that has taken place and to make it effective. Now we bring a proof. A compromise is not needed kinyan, right? So even a verbal commandment or a verbal agreement via judges is good enough. You don't have to make a kinyan. If you need a kinyan, according to Meir holds you need two judges. Why do you need so many? You should have two. Let the litigants make a kinyan in front of the two judges as witnesses. When it says kinyan, really halacha is that you do need a kinyan even if you have a judge, a court of three, just to solidify it, to make sure that it goes through. Like judgment is three. So do compromise you two judges. Once the verdict is reached, you cannot do a compromise anymore. Now, judge now knows the halacha. He heard both sides. Like, okay, Reuven's gonna win. He can't offer a compromise. We're gonna have this a few times throughout the Masechet. It says a couple of words or letters, and then it says siman. It's a that means we're going through a lengthy suyot of certain things, and each one represents one. Sarmash, bankash, siman. You can never have a compromise. Whoever compromises is a sinner. Whoever praises the judge who compromises goes against Hashem. That's what the pasuk says. Hashem. Rather, you should do judgment that goes through the mountain. You'll pierce right through it. Do whatever it takes to get through pure justice. Moshe would say use justice. Aaron, Ohev Shalom, V'rev Shalom, he loves peace. Umesim Shalom ben Adam l'chavro, he always made peace between people. Shneimar, Torah Emet hayitab b'fihu, va'avla lo nimsa b'sfatav. V'shalom b'mishor halach iti v'rabim heshi me'avon, he always wanted to keep peace between people. Eliezer says, Hare she'chazal se'ah she'achitim, if someone stole a certain measurement of wheat, a se'ah of wheat, uthana, v'afa'ah, v'hervish min challah, he ground it into flour, baked it, and separated challah, kesem mevrech. Can you make a beracha? If he makes a beracha on this thing that he stole, he's angering God. Use the same pasuk. Maybe another explanation is pasuk. Lo ne'emar botzei aleh keneged Yehuda is referring to Yehuda. We read this pasuk today. Right? Yehuda said, "Oh, let's not kill our brother. Let's just sell him." And don't praise him because that wasn't a good compromise. He just wanted to make money out of it. Bishop ben Korchan Rishon says, "Mitzvah l'psoi it's mitzvah for the judge to compromise." Shneimar emet u'mishpat shalom shiftu b'sha'arechem. You should have judgment and peace. Makom sheyesh mishpat and shalom. Makom sheyesh shalom and b'mishat. You can't have both. If judgment, no peace. If peace, no judgment. You can't make everybody happy. What's the case that you could have judgment and peace? That's referring to compromise. Also, but David used to say, he did judgment and righteousness, right? Tzedakah and mishpat. But lo koma kom shel mishpat and tzedakah and mishpat. How do you have both? What does that mean? He used to compromise. I thought the kind of gods. But 1 second, that just said the same thing as the first Tana, that you should have compromised. Right? He says this is what it means. If David would try to say that this guy is patur and this guy was chayav, and the guy he sees the guy who's chayav to pay was poor, he wouldn't say, okay, you know what, you're patur. He would make the guy pay, and then David would reimburse him from his own money. That's judgment and righteousness. Judgment that he got the guy the money back, and righteousness that he helped the ani. He did judgment that he paid back. Okay. Next part. Kasha Rabbi, but the Rabbi had a problem. David Melech says it says by Melech he did mishpat and tzedakah to everybody, but this is not everybody. That's only for poor people. Gemara says no. He has a different explanation. Even in cases where he didn't reimburse him, zeu mishpat tzedakah, it's still considered tzedakah mishpat. Why? Judgment to the guy that he got his money back. And he took out, and it's righteousness and tzedakah to the first guy who got paid the money because he is extracting the money that didn't belong to him. Right? He's doing his way of making sure he doesn't have money that doesn't belong to him. Rabbi Shimon ben Anasi Omer, two litigants come before for a judgment. If he didn't hear their statements, or even if he heard the statements but doesn't lean either way yet, he can still offer a compromise. Once you hear and you start leaning towards one side to judge, you can no longer offer compromises. Now, explanation of the pasuk is before you understand the argument, that's when you can stop it for a compromise. Once you understand what's going on, you can no longer do a compromise. He says, two people came for judgment. One guy is a nice person, one guy is a tough person. Actually, before you hear their statements, or if you heard it but you didn't decide yet, you could still say to them, I don't want to judge you, right? Because he's scared of this tough guy who's gonna cause him problems. Because maybe this tough guy is going to be chayav, and he'll start bothering the judge. Once you understand the arguments and you start leaning towards one way, you can no longer recuse yourself, because then it looks like you are scared of a litigant, and the pasuk says don't do that. How do you know that if a student is sitting in front of his rabbi, and he sees a reason to make the poor man patur, make the wealthy man chayav? How do you know that he shouldn't sit quietly in front of his rabbi, but rather he should tell his rabbi what he thinks? Don't be scared. Don't hold back what you are saying in front of a teacher. Continuing with this concept, witnesses should know that they're testifying in front of God. They're testifying in front of God's presence. We know who, if they're testifying falsely, God himself will punish them. Next, also judges. Judges also know they're judging in front of who they're judging, who will punish them. Also, another pasuk says, he told the judges, know what you're doing. You're not just judging a person, you're judging in front of God. Maybe the judge says, okay, maybe I don't need all this pressure for. It's so dangerous. The pasuk says, don't be so scared. You judge what you see. More than that, you can't do. If you judge mistakenly because it's something that was presented in front of you, that's not your fault. All right, you do your best. Hashem will do the rest. What does it mean, a verdict? When the judge specifically says, you are chayav, you are patur. The halacha is like him, that it's good to do compromises. And the Gemara says, and he said so. Rav Huna was a student of Rav. When people came in front of Rav Huna for a judgment, he would tell them, if you want to do a law, I'll do it. If you want to do compromise, I'll do it. So how come he didn't offer compromise more aggressively? My mitzvah nami de kamar b'shum korcha. So he said, no, you're misunderstanding what b'shum korcha says, that you should offer a compromise. Mitzvah l'me'lahu idina ba'ita yekshar ba'ita. The same thing was at the same halacha. You should offer it. You should offer a compromise from the beginning. But the same thing as Tanakama. B'shum korcha agrees with Tanakama. What's the difference? The difference is whether or not you offering a compromise is considered a mitzvah. Tanaka holds that's optional. Okay, if that's the case, Rabbi Shimon ben Asya. Tanakama agrees with Shimon ben Asya. He also said offer it heke. Now, still difference. The difference is between when you heard the opening statements, and you know which side you're leaning to, you can no longer say go and compromise. If Shimon ben Asya would hold that you can only offer compromise till you understand the judgment. And Tanakh can hold that you can always offer compromise even until at all times until you actually give a verdict. So even if you know you're leaning to, you can still offer compromise.